Hey, this is Dr. Darnise, and welcome back into another episode. Today, we're talking about why your kids can't read. Now, on this channel, we talk about Black religion, we talk about Black history, and you can search the channel. You'll find very many videos about me talking on Black history and the importance of us knowing our history and passing along this information to our kids. I created a couple resources for you, the free reading list in the description box, and a link to the course that I created. It's an online course with the audio recordings from my actual college classes so that you can share those with your kids, your grandkids, the youth in your life, refresh your own memory. Okay, so what am I talking about? The Atlantic Monthly Magazine, right? A very, elite magazine just came out with an article that says the elite college students who can't read books. Now we know if elite kids are having a difficulty reading and are struggling, we know that by the time that filters down to many Black people, Black children, the consequences are much worse for Black kids who can't read and write properly. Where are you going to go in the society without basic skills? So, as the community, as the village, it is required of us to look after our young people and to see when there is a problem. Now, I've been yelling from the rafters for I don't know how many years because I've been teaching your kids as they come through my college classroom. Their skill level is getting less and less and less. And if you are a parent or grandparent and you're not aware of it, you're thinking, okay, well, they're going through school, it must be okay. No, it's not okay. In many cases, it's not okay. They're not doing well. They're on the phone, which is shortening their attention span. So when they're given a book to read, they can't get through the whole book. When they're told to write their name or to write something out on paper, they struggle because they don't actually have good handwriting. So my point being, I don't think I have to really explain what are the ramifications in a society if you belong to a class of people that's already discriminated against, already marginalized, and then you show up in the workforce and you don't have basic skills. Okay, so I've been doing my best to ring that alarm. Hey parents, hey grandparents, aunties, uncles, if you have a youth around you, a kid around you, and you see they're struggling with reading, get with them. Get with them now. Okay, because the elite kids, the kids going to elite colleges, the Ivy Leagues, if they're struggling, by the time that trickles down to you and yours, where are they going to go? Okay, let me just review this article with you. Again, the Atlantic Monthly. So if you wanted to look it up, the magazine is called the Atlantic Monthly. The article is called The Elite College Students Who Can't Read Books. Subtitle, To Read a Book in College, It Helps to Have Read a Book in High School. Okay, it helps to have read a book in high school. And it helps to have been reading books all along, right? Age appropriate books all along. So if you have young ones in your household, get them some books. Okay, so this article covers the fact that at Columbia University, students are saying to their professors that it is too difficult to read an entire book. What they were exposed to in school was reading articles, reading excerpts, reading maybe poetry, basically selections from a book. And high school teachers or K through 12 teachers are, I guess, creating, shorter readings based upon what they get from books and whatnot. Well, that has a consequence. Now they come to college and you're spending money, right? You're spending money on these college courses that your kids may be struggling with and may very well fail because they can't keep up with the reading that's required. And we should not say, okay, well, then the colleges shouldn't assign so much reading. No, the skill level needs to come up because we live in a world where you are judged on your skill level. We can't ask schools to dumb down How is that going to help? That's what's already happening K through 12. So now they reach another level, college level, and they can't keep up. What happens if you dumb it down at the college level? Then they're going to go out into the workforce. They can't keep up. They're going to be in competition with people from other countries as well, who are very much better educated than Americans are. It's just a fact. So, again, this affects us, especially so, Black people, because we are already falling behind in so many of the measures and the standards that allow us to do well financially and in the workplace. So, again, I created a free reading list. So, in the description box, you'll see, get your free Black Studies reading list. And then there's also a course that I created. What should I call it? African American History and Religion or something like that. But you'll see it's an online course, self-paced. It's audio based. So you're really, when you're going through that course at your own pace, you're listening to me and teaching my college students. So yeah, it's a way to maybe focus your young people on the written word and its value because they've grown up in a society that's where everything has just been, entertainment based. It's been just like video, social media. TikTok is rotting their brains. If there's any conspiracy afoot, it is to dumb down the entire population, right? The people who are in charge, the people who are most powerful, the people who are in charge, their main goal is to dumb down the population so that we don't understand what's going on around us. They even are removing books. What society removes books? So again, I will say, let me see, I was just going to read something from this article here. The article mentions that this is from the chair of Georgetown's English department, Georgetown University, told me that his students have trouble staying focused on even a sonnet, right? That is a poem, right? The students are saying that they are overwhelmed, that they find it almost impossible to read an entire book in the course of a semester. So they're saying they cannot read an entire book over, a 10 to 12-week period of time. Some classes require that you read more than one book in the semester. So the kids are falling behind if they can't do the one. Now, when I was teaching live, now I'm online, but when I was teaching live, I would notice, where what I would call student fatigue began to set in. It's easier to see it like one in person. I would decide at some point, okay, if I'm going to assign an entire novel, it needs to be a short novel. If I want kids to keep up and to do well, let me give them a short novel. So we would read this is, a lot of Harlem Renaissance literature. Nella Larson, Quicksand and Passing, those are two novellas. If we're doing Intro to African American Studies, I would have them read the Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. You see my candle over here with James Baldwin. You can never go wrong with a James Baldwin, but the Fire Next Time. So I was having to make already some decisions to say, well, let me keep the novel or the text short. There's another thing. Not every book is a novel. Not every book is a novel. A novel means a fiction, a work of fiction. So students come in, they're like, oh, I read that novel. That's not a novel. A novel is a work of fiction. So they were generically applying that word novel to all books. And so it's like realizing the realization like, wow, I'm dealing with a population of people who are and I'm going to say it this way, they're functionally illiterate already. functionally, meaning they can get by, they do know how to read, but when asked to do an analysis, to really demonstrate reading comprehension, they don't have those skills. So we have to always take care of our own. We have to circle the wagons. We have to be the village. We have to say, look, we already know there are things in place. There are ways in which we get trapped and tracked, right? Especially young Black boys get tracked early in school, and they're determined to be, a problem child. They get removed from the classrooms. They get, problematized, and then we know there's a pipeline, school to prison pipeline. How do you get in that pipeline? We know that when kids are not doing well in any subject, and you're a little kid, what is that kid likely to do? They're likely to be distracted and to be distracting to others. They might become the class clown. They might be up out of their seat. They might be constantly talking. They're distracted and they're distracting to others. And so then what does that do? That puts them in a problem category. And the reason that kids do that is because they don't feel good about the fact that they don't know what they're doing. They don't have good skills. And so they got to create some kind of other thing to do. So, they act up and they get sent to the principal's office. And then as they get older, going into high school, and they get older, now they're perceived as more of a threat. And we know this especially for Black boys. And so they get tracked in such a way where they're getting less and less actual education and acquainted more and more with, school authorities or, God forbid, the police. Okay, so here I am ringing the alarm again. It's up to us. Really pay attention to what's going on in your own household with the young people in your life, and ask them, hey, have you read this book? Have you read this book? Give them even graphic novels. If you're like, I have a kid, there's no way they're going to sit down and read graphic novels. Or another thing that I would, and you may not know, I don't know if I shared this, I used to tutor 5-year-olds in reading. Who knew I could do that? 5-year-olds in reading. And I would have to bargain with them and, bribe them. So maybe you have to do this even with your 10-year-old or your 15-year-old. Find something that they're interested in. Do they like Taylor Swift? Give them a Taylor Swift book, biography. Do they like some athlete? Give them a biography about an athlete. Muhammad Ali, for example, Jesse Owens. Introduce them to athletes from the past. And that way you're doing reading and history at the same time. That's a trick. Mix together their interests. Don't try to give them something that, oh, it's so boring, I hate it, right? Give them something they already are interested in. I say, hey, don't even make it like, hey, you got to read this book. It's like, hey, did you know there's a book about Taylor Swift out? Did you know there's this book about, hip hop? Did you know there's this book about, whatever athlete? Leave it there, see what happens. Anyway, you just have to use all the tools that you have. And I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, this article comes from the Atlantic magazine, the Atlantic Monthly, and it is called The Elite College Students Who Can't Read Books. It's very serious. It's a very serious situation. Again, as I said, if there's any conspiracy afoot, this is definitely up there when the people in power and the government are deliberately trying to dumb down its population. There is a good reason for that. All right, so check the links in the description, and I will see you next time.